Entrepreneurship can be really hard, and when you're doing it by yourself, trying to navigate the terrain, it can almost be impossible. That's why we created the Entrepreneur Circle. Every episode, you're going to hear from incredible entrepreneurs who are in the same trenches that you are in. And we're going to talk through what's working, what's not working, whether it be in marketing, finance, or anything in between. We're here to talk business and figure out how each of us can rise together. So welcome to the circle. Let's dig in. Welcome to Entrepreneur Circle. Today's show is a little bit different, my friends. We are here on very specific circumstances because of what is going on in the world. Many of you know I am Iranian and I live in America. I am in America because of my brave and courageous, amazing parents. My dad has gone through a lot in his journey, and his story is unlike anything I've ever heard. And it is so important for me to share that with you all as the turbulence is escalating in the Middle East between Iran and Israel. So this is a very special episode. And what we're going to be talking about for the next 20, 30 minutes is intended to give you a different perspective by hearing the story of somebody who has seen it firsthand and who has a different level of knowledge about what's going on. So to my amazing Baba June, my daddy, welcome to my show.
Hello, Paresa June. Thank you for having me, Baba.
Thank you for being on. I know, I learned a lot about your story through the journey of you writing your book. Yeah. And from when you were young and you enlisted in the Imperial Navy, Havadaya, to coming to America, building the American dream, and being here, there's been a lot that's happened. And I would love for you to first start with the backstory of your experience in Havadaya, how you kind of went up the ranks. For those of you that don't know my dad, he was a commander in the Imperial Navy when the Shah was in power, and then through the revolution. He flew the Shah, the revolution happened, and then he flew Khamenei, who is the supreme leader right now. And he saw firsthand what happened during that transition of power, how the culture shifted, and most importantly, what was going on behind the scenes. So, Dad, can you take us back to kind of when the revolution happened? What was it like from your perspective?
Thank you for having me, Pat John. Well, if you go back then, just like my book, of course, the book that you were talking about, it was just a memoir. So we tried to briefly go over everything. But that book is, the main reason was, just I wrote it down just because with your help to, when grandkids, they grow up, they find out where did they come from, why the grandparents moved here, and all this reason. But yeah, it was 1979, obviously, that revolution happened. And I was in Navy for probably 4 or 5 years. And then just about a year and a half after we graduated from United States and we went back home, the revolution happened. So we were very young, 23, 24. So it was pretty bad. So if it is a longer story, so I don't know, it take time to just go in detail, but it was pretty bad. So if the revolution happened, we didn't believe it. A lot of people were against it, but at the same time, there was some reason for it, obviously, but we were moving so fast, economy, we were number 5 as far as military power in the world. We were really going forward. There was no reason for revolution.
When the Shah was in power?
When the Shah was in power, our GDP was a lot more than China and South Korea. We were way ahead of Turkey and a few other countries at that time in 1978, and just a year before the revolution. So, but the religion and all these people, with the propaganda and lies and all this, and some people just believe those and follow those. They thought everything is going to be better. Everything got a lot worse. No freedom, lack of freedom, everybody jail. A lot of people got executed just first 30 days. I don't want to spend too much time so we can get to this, what's happening now. But we've seen this regime, how bad they are. The first casualty of this regime was people, Iranian people. And they have been suffering for 46 years. And if you follow what happened in Iran. Every 2, 3 years, every few years, there was some protest and all this thing on the street. There's a lot of people in jail, and they killed them. 85, 90% are against this regime, and because they have been so brutal with the people, their own people. And a lot of us think they are not really Iranian. They just took over. It's just like another country took over because our culture and Persians' culture, Cyrus the Great, all these things, it was completely different with the line of thinking that they have. They just want to change it to go to different direction, the religion and Islam and all that. And they are fanatic. They're extremists. And unfortunately, there is 5-10% in each society that they follow those and they use those and they have a gun power, so they stay in power until now.
Until now. I feel like that's the big thing is we're on the brink of a potential revolution. I mean, right before we started filming, just a couple hours ago, I think Reza Pahlavi, the prince, he recently just put out a video telling the Iranian people to not be afraid of what the future holds and that there's a plan in place.
Yes.
So do you think, looking at the situation right now where, we're recording this on a Wednesday, this episode's going to drop on Friday, June 20th. Do you think that there is a real chance at a revolution given the current state of Israel targeting the top leaders in the regime and the U.S. going over there and providing support? Who knows what that support will look like? Are you worried about it escalating beyond just targeting the top officials and hurting the Iranian people, or are you fairly confident and trust what's coming, having faith in what's coming?
Well, first, we feel the pain and for the people who are getting affected in Iran, even in Israel, both civilian. But I know Israel tried their best to just pinpoint and not go after civilian or anything like that. But it's still the collateral damage is the innocent people, and so we feel for them. But really, there is no option. The way it's going, we are hoping. We are not happy to be in war, and we don't want to be in a war. But this regime, and not just is the enemy of Iranian people, is the enemy of civilization, I think. So is enemy of the world. They don't even, for their own sake, even they don't try to at least adjust themselves with the West, with the world, to just, and they just always, everywhere you see, there is an issue, there is a war, there is something, and chaos. Islamic Republic, the Revolutionary Guard especially, Khamenei, they are involved. So I understand why Israel is doing that, because, they have been saying for 45, 46 years, Israel has to get destroyed. It shouldn't be on the map. If you have a neighbor or somebody keeps saying that, so eventually, and now they want to get a nuclear weapon. In Shari, we had a nuclear. Nobody had an issue. It was just a civil nuclear. But everybody knows they have some other bad intention, and they cheat. They all do all that. So I hope the United States can go and help Israel too. But obviously, any change in Iran, any regime, has to be done as far as the government and regime by people of Iran, not by force with another country. That need to be done by us, by people, but hopefully this is going to help indirectly by killing those people like they were killing Iranian people like Salami, those people, Radan, all those Revolution Guard. Obviously, those people getting killed, a lot of people getting happy in Iran because they were the one who've been killing Iranian people, and they think that's just. And they were preferring, we all preferred, we could peacefully change the regime, but it doesn't happen. But now the Iranian people has to use this opportunity, and because regime is getting weaker, and they have to, just like Shahzadeh Prince Pahlavi said, he is the best alternative we have. So hopefully all the opposition get behind him, and I'm pretty sure because he was raised in the United States. When he was 18, he got educated here. His mentality is like us that live in the United States, freedom and all that. And so he's the best person who can at least take us, to the next step after regime is overthrown. But yeah, I think we are hopeful that when they get weak, people do the uprising and just take over, and I'm pretty sure Reza Pahlavi is going to go back home, and It doesn't matter what kind of regime we have, as long as we have a freedom, has a human rights and all that, all the political, groups and all that can say anything they want. Then it doesn't matter, it's a kingdom, a republic, either one should be good. So,
I think you said something really interesting about how the Iranian people are the ones that should be rising up and making this change happen. And it's been attempted so many times. I mean, you and I have gone to the Capitol at least 5 times that I
yes,
can remember.
yeah,
And protest and just, peacefully protest in front of the Capitol in Denver.
just to support the people who were protesting in Iran.
Exactly. It would be an uprising in Iran where the people would go out and peacefully protest and they'd be taken to jail because people don't have the right to freedom of speech, freedom of, there's no free press, there's no free anything. So there's a matter of the people have tried and tried and tried to rise up many, many times. There was the Green Revolution, there was Zan Zendegi Azadi.
Yeah.
And then now it's not that the people want war. That's not what we want at all. But what is happening right now is giving an opportunity for the Iranian people to rise up one more time and hopefully make it the last time before there's actually change.
We believe that this is Khamenei's war, and he's the one who is responsible to create this situation. Because they even gave him a last chance. President Trump gave him just 2 months. Let's just do something, negotiate. Still, they try to just waste time. We know them. They're just evil. I mean, Khamenei and all those people. And I hope they can just wrap up the war and just get to the point, and then don't go and just destroy the refinery here and civilian. Just try to go after the regime people so they get really weak, so people can just then let the people of Iran take in charge and just do what they're supposed to do. Because we know, I was in the war, as you said, and the book says, and war is not a good thing. And then, and we know how bad it is when there is a war. So
Which war?
Iran, right now there is a war, and then we were in Iran-Iraq war for 8 years, and I was at least there for 7 years of it. So it's really a bad thing. It's just the country goes behind people, you lose people, everything you have. So hopefully this is not going to extend longer and longer. And if they get after what the regime is, because there's a lot of stuff, government stuff, a lot of people, they already are after the people, but they need to go after some of the foundation of the regime and take care of that, and even ask Khamenei to leave Iran, resign or something, and don't let mullahs to be in power, and we really appreciate what Israel is doing indirectly and directly, as long as it doesn't get to that point that the country get destroyed or people get, killed, innocent people. Mm-hmm. But I hope it be short and people can take over.
Yeah.
Go from there.
There's a lot of people who I see my generation, younger people who are thinking that everything that the West is talking about, everything that Netanyahu is saying is like propaganda. They say that they're just targeting, but they're really out here just doing it for their own power, their own intentions. You seeing that revolution from the root, do you believe that?
Whatever Prime Minister Netanyahu especially saying, I think he's the only leader in the whole world that understands exactly the Iranian people, what we are suffering and what we have been suffering. And everything they say, if it's not 100%, 99%, 98% is true. Because they are not good people. They killed like 5,000 people in 24 hours, about 25, 30 years ago. It was a group that helped them to be in power, to get in power. They were against the Shah, and they helped the mullahs and Khomeini to get in power, but they wanted to share the power, and when they didn't want to give it to them, they were fighting. And then these people were supporters of, they were not even active. They were not even violent, but they killed them after the end of the war. They are really, everything you heard about Hitler or Stalin or those people and all the worst dictator, they combine all that and learn everything from them. I don't think there is any country in the world, when the bad country, dictatorship, that they have this kind of They just, for example, they kill somebody, and then if their family, they execute somebody or just shooting them. First, they deny it completely. They do rape, they put jail them, all that. And then if their family go after them, they jail their family. If their family has a job somewhere, they take the job and fire them. Then they don't let them even make money. So they destroy them like that so they can come and beg them and say, they just do some stuff that probably we don't know half of it. And then we find out even after the revolution happened. So we're hoping the revolution happened with the minimum casualty. But obviously these people they have a gun and they have no mercy and they are brutal. So a dictatorship in the worst way possible. And so hopefully they get so weak that it'd be easier to change the regime. And especially if Prince Reza Pahlavi goes there, that's good. And everybody knows now how good Shah was. I mean, the Shah, and nothing was perfect. Nobody is perfect when you're in charge. There was some issue, but nothing. I mean, we were going so fast to the 21st, 20th century, and then if he was staying there, probably we were in a lot better shape than now. And in the last 46 years, we went backward.
Yeah, it seems like
especially with women. And, especially women that they don't believe them, they are equal to the men. So
that's not cool.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, it's just, you have 2 daughters, right?
Yeah.
Me
We
and
feel that.
Tony's, and it's, I remember at some point in your book, you talk about, okay, I have a daughter now. Do I really want to raise her in this regime? And you saw it from the very beginning. What was happening that made you question that you wanted to even raise her there?
Yeah.
And me.
A lot of my friend, us, that was the whole purpose of the book that mentioned why, because, and then I have a lot of friends, great friends, and they they all left Iran self-exile, because if Shah was in power, most of us were not in the United States, if Shah was in power. And we came here to the United States to study and go back and help the country to grow and give our 100%. But that's what happened. And I was thinking, especially, after the regime, how can we survive in this regime? Because they were after everything. They didn't let you what to wear, all this. But the war started, and then everybody got to stay quiet because they wanted to help, because Saddam was trying to take over the cities, and they got distracted. Yeah, when Panis was born, that's the very first thing I said. They make the 5, 6 years old kid force them to wear a scarf, and then so limited, especially in the beginning of the revolution, even now. So I said, that's not fair. That's not really fair. The only way. And then I wasn't that kind of person to stay quiet and not say anything either, because I believe in freedom, I believe in democracy, I believe in right and wrong. Beside the political stuff, even the social stuff, there is no social freedom, there is no political freedom, there's no human right, nothing. So how can you stay there? So we feel bad. I was feeling bad that I had to leave the country, but they push us. They force us to leave the country. We didn't want to leave.
It's your country.
It was our country. We believe in whatever it was. It was bad, good, whatever. We love our country, homeland. So, but we love United States now because they really is a great country, because most of us came to United States, no other place. So this is our home now too, but it's still the homeland where you were born is different.
It's different. It's interesting to hear the experience that you had when the revolution happened, because you think about a transition of power. It's interesting looking at when a transition in power happens, and you have a peaceful transition of power, and then you have a forceful transition of power. Back in 79, when the revolution was happening, you got a front row seat to see how that transition would happen, at least in the military, right?
Yeah.
In the Navy. What did you see happening to the leaders in the military that maybe showed any type of opposition to what was happening?
Right now, after the revolution, what they did, they lied. They said, the mullah said, we're coming here, we want to help the country to grow. And especially mullahs, we said, we don't want to get involved in the government. We don't want power. We want to go to Qom. Qom is the city like a Vatican in Iran. All the mullahs are there. But then 30 days later, they said, we just said that. After 2 weeks after the revolution, we just said that to get to power. It's okay in Islam to lie and then change your mind. I mean, and then they call it, they have a expression, they say to lie that is just to advance the Islam or religion is okay. You can just go back and then change it. So, and then the first thing they said, because there wasn't too much, when revolution happened, it was overall was peaceful. Now, before that, there was some protests, some people, few got killed, not that many, but when the revolution happened, the way it happened, Shah left Iran, and he was so nice guy. He didn't want to kill everybody. He didn't say. He was saying that I don't want to just kill my own people just to stay in power. Exactly opposite of what the regime is right now. Exactly opposite. Now some people were griping him why you're leaving and all that, but he installed a prime minister. He says, okay, I'm going to go until, and then also the West didn't support him in the end. They were indirectly talking to Khomeini, this group, and helping them because they thought, this is something to help them because those days there was a Soviet Union and they were communists. So they were thinking these are religion people. They never go with the communists, and that's exactly opposite. So the first thing, when Shah left and there was big protest out there, the military came and said, okay, we are neutral. We don't get involved. That means you guys decide. And then they were nice, they did that. But what did the regime do? Kill all of them. They lied to them. They said if you just say neutral and then don't get involved, don't just let people decide. And then when they did that, then within less than 30 days, 60 days, they executed everybody, all the general, all the military people, not even some of the people, like there was a general in Air Force, Jahan Bani, he was very popular, he was a very nice guy. He wasn't even in power, I think, at that time, or even if he was, but he didn't do anything. He wasn't even involved in the last 2 years of all those protests, but they killed him. Then they went and killed all the ministry, and that means there was a lady who was the education ministry, and he was an education ministry at the time of revolution. It was 3-4 years before. They grabbed him and they executed her. They just executed a lot of people, even lower rank. Some of them that they were involved. They even killed a lady who was cook in a palace for Shah. They just killed a lot of people. Then they went further. They killed their own friends, the people who helped them to get in power. Mujahideen. They all step by step until now. So maybe they had some supporter in the beginning of the revolution, but then now I don't think 85-90% is against them because they've been killing or jailing. They just jailed somebody. He was a professor at the university. He asked Khamenei to resign because you're responsible for all this thing. You brought us this war. And then they just took him to jail now. So, and then they're going around, if anybody be a little bit happy that Israel killed, for example, Salami, they take him to jail. They said 2 to 6 years. And they just act like they have a democracy. They just have it's a fake election. Everything is no lack of freedom and lack of political freedom, even speech, nothing. So they have been doing that all along in 46 years. So hopefully it ends soon.
Hopefully it ends soon. Hopefully
and we
it
are
ends
very
this
hopeful.
week. Yeah. I've been feeling, Dad, like I feel very complex emotions when it comes to this topic because I see some of my friends are like, this is terrible. We don't want a democracy in Iran. We don't want a war. We don't want Iranian people to die. And I agree. Obviously, nobody wants a war, but I feel there's so much opportunity on the horizon for Iranians if this transition does happen. It's just a matter of seeing how far it really goes. If they stay targeted, if Israel stays targeted in their attacks and they're only targeting those higher level officials, then that's a good scenario. If it expands beyond that, Trump tweeted out, everybody evacuate Tehran. Yeah. It's like, what's your plan, dude? What are you going to do in Tehran that every 10 million people have to get out of there when you just hit all the oil fields? There's a shortage probably of gasoline. Like, how are people supposed to get out of the city? So I feel like a lot of Iranians are very worried and concerned while also staying hopeful that this will be the turning point, you know?
Yeah, it should be turning point. The thing is, when there is a war in the middle of the night, you wake up, you hear the explosion, all that. We really feel for everybody. I mean, people are dying gradually. There is a lot of poor people. You know what the inflation is in Iran? 40, 50%. Here you get 5%. Everybody is upset and all that. I mean, they officially said it themselves is 39%. I mean, the government. I
Wow.
mean, so, and it keep going. I mean, the dollar was like 7 toman when the revolution happened. Right now it's 100,000 toman. Not, I mean, just go figure out how many times. I mean, it was just like it was a dream then, or it's just we have a bad dream now. So, but a lot of people, we believe that Khamenei and his regime did all this. They are the one who's causing this. If there was no regime, I mean, if they were not like this, why they don't go after Turkey? Why they don't go after another country? Why are they coming after Iran? Because they are the one they wanted to export the revolution. They are the one. They had Hezbollah. They had Hamas. They just went all the way to Israel. We had nothing to do with us, Iran. I mean, conflict in like between Israel and even Palestinian has nothing to do with us. That we put all our money and our life and on people and soldier and just to just help Palestinian. I mean, we can support them if anybody believes that. There's no problem. But to get involved and create a terrorist group like that, and then the whole, we call it Houthi in Yemen, Syria, Hafiz Assad, like 500,000 people got killed. Who helped him to kill those? Revolutionary Guard. So they have been doing that to a lot of countries. They mess up the Lebanon. They mess up Iraq. They kill a lot of Americans. They killed like 240 Marines early 80s. And they have been killing a lot of American in Iraq when Bush was there and they wanted to overthrow the Saddam. So they've been everywhere. So they were the one who was, after this, finally is getting to them now. And then we are suffering, the people are suffering because of their behavior. The regime behavior and action and what they have been doing, all those propaganda, they just keep saying, oh, Islam has to go everywhere and we have to do this, we have to do, this kind of stuff finally is coming back to them, the head of the snake, because they were the one who creating all this, and they thought war is not gonna. And I think some of it is all own West fault. They just were so patient with the regime. They could have done this 20, 30 years ago, do something, but they helped them. They even don't believe right now the regime has to be changed. They even don't believe that. The only person who really believes it is probably Netanyahu, that he cannot even say it straight, even though he says, I hope that the people rise up. He keeps sending a message to Iranian people. But even right now, for example, Europe is saying, oh no, don't worry about this. What else do you want for this regime? Because if there wasn't support of the West and all these people, plus the Russia and China, the number two partner of the, they couldn't stay in power this long. After killing this many people, being against everything in the world. So, I mean, is their doing that is happening. But unfortunately, because we couldn't change them in Iran, because all the protests and all the stuff that we were doing in the street, it didn't get a result. Now we got to this point.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, if we could have somehow peacefully make them, change them, I mean, the Iranian people, it was great. And now it's still, we have to do it. But at least after, the world needs to say, we support the Iranian people for their goal that is changing the regime. But they are not saying that even right now.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there's some countries, even in the West, that are questioning if there should even be a change in the regime?
Yeah, because they have benefit. They are benefiting from regime. And a lot of countries that they support the regime is dictator regime, like China, like Russia, like Korea, North Korea, I mean, or Cuba. These are all dictator, or Venezuela. They are all dictatorship. You don't see any democratic country really support them. But at the same time, they don't support them, but they don't want to get involved, and they think it's going to be very messy. They're afraid that what happened after the regime change, what happened this. And also it's their own benefit, because they sold a lot of weapons to all the Arabic countries and Persian Gulf because they were all scared of Iran. So they got the, but it's getting to the point there is no use for for anybody. I mean, they just I don't know. In Europe there is a lot of places that you see regime hand there that they were doing the terrorist action. They finance all these people. The West knows that.
They finance all the terrorists.
Most of the
attacks?
terrorists, yes.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
there's mosque in the, I think in Hamburg or something. They said they close it down. So they know it. They kill a lot of opposition. If they come to United States and kill one opposition person and that is citizen, United States should, get upset and do something about it. They have been doing that in Europe a lot in the last 40 years. They kill a lot of opposition. And so they knew it, but they thought it's hard. But we know nobody should worry. If Iran is different, it's not going to be civil war in Iran if these people leave, especially with people like opposition we have, like Shahzad Reza Pahlavi. Those it's not going to happen. If anybody is afraid of that, that shouldn't happen.
So there's some people who are afraid that there would be a civil war between who? Like the people who are pro
Yeah.
Shah and the people who are not?
Yeah, and also some of the leftover from government of Islamic Republic.
I see.
But we are not like that. We have like a 2,500 years of culture. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, it won't be. There is going to be some maybe something, but not. It won't be like Syria or Lebanon. We are not going to be like that.
Yeah.
Unless a foreign country helped them. Right now, Khamenei is just in power because Russia and China were helping them so much. And then also West was closing their eyes and
Just letting it
I
happen.
mean, they didn't have to do anything. We didn't want them to come and change the regime. We just wanted them to have a sanction just like United States and also just say, hey, we don't accept you as a regime because you are not a good regime. You're killing your own people and also you are against everything in the West.
Chanting death to America.
Chanting death to America, chanting death to Israel. So,
I wonder where Russia and China are at now with all this. I mean, we're fresh into the conflict. It's been about a week or so.
Well, Islamic Republic went and helped Russia in Ukraine. The only thing Iran has is just, they don't have a strong military. I mean, everything is weak because they made it weak. And then the only thing they have is some missiles and all this. So they cannot continue this war for a long time because they have no mercy and no value for the humanity, for the human being. It doesn't matter to them if a lot of Iranians get killed, as long as they stay in power. So if anybody is supporting them and just they should be mad at them. Why the war started? It's just because of they wanted the war. So they have been doing this for many years, but the war was all they were causing it. But it was far from Iran territory. It was all in Lebanon. But now they brought it back because enough is enough, they said. So the people who just have, there's 2-3 group of people who are supporting the regime. Well, obviously they're going to say this thing, a negative thing. And there's some people, they don't, they're just naive or something, or they just think, and they go by feeling, oh, we were doing good. They try not to be involved. But people have a right to live in a good condition, have a life. If the young person finish the high school, have to have a college or somewhere easy to go to college and get the job, be able to get married. It's just nothing is normal in Iran right now. I mean, there's a lot of poor. They are saying even the old regime says the poverty line is like 45% of Iranian are above that poverty line. But the actual number is 60-70%. I mean, so people are not, poor condition, that people are not doing good in Iran. So if anybody close their eyes, especially the people who are living outside the country, and they just say, oh, they are using all this freedom in the United States, and then enjoying all this. But then they say, oh, why are you doing it? Well, if that's the case, why don't you go back there and live there? So you test it. At least because we knew what it is, we saw it firsthand, how bad they are, no freedom, and not just no freedom. I mean, they were not even doing something to advance the country. The whole country around us, like 50 years ago, United Arab, it was nothing. But look at United Arab. We were way ahead of all this country. Now we are way behind them. They were not trying to build something foundation the country can go forward. They just were just doing some nuclear, all the money on the nuclear stuff and the missile, just to stay in power, just because they were thinking about not the country, just the regime. No dictator even has done that. So
You'd think that it'd be pretty obvious that if you pour into the people and into the economy and the well-being of the country, then maybe it'll help you stay in power because your people are happy, your people are prospering, not just operating out of a scarcity mindset.
They didn't care about it. And there's corruption. Corruption is so high. I mean, even the whole world knows the economic corruption. Iran is the one of the worst country in the world, and we are one of the richest country as far as oil and gas and all that. Fourth, I think, as far as but now we are one of the poor country in the world. So this is corruption. I mean, this is because there is no political freedom and there is no, I mean, obviously everything they do, and 70% of the economy, 60% is under control of the military, not armed forces, real, the Revolutionary Guard and Khamenei group and all that. So that's why the economy, even if they take the sanction out, the economy is not going to get bad because they don't know what they're doing. The management is not good. Nothing is good. Because most of people who were expert, they all left country. 6 million people left the country because of them. And they don't mind, okay, you keep this brain inside the country. Why are they leaving? Because they want them, they push them to go. So
I can imagine being, because how old were you when you guys left?
I was 30.
You were 30.
Years old.
31.
Yeah.
So I'm 33, and I just can't even imagine leaving with my kid, coming to a new country, and having to completely shift and live a completely different life.
Yeah.
Like, I just am so grateful, Dad. That's a big.
The Punis was 18 months old, but this was something we had to do because of the kids and also the future. But we never thought it's going to take that long. They stay in power this far. We were hoping that this day, because nobody was happy after the first 4 or 5 years, they stay in power.
Yeah, I'm getting a little emotional because I'm just thinking about there's so much pride in our culture, in the Persian culture, and in our community, and it's been tarnished a little bit with this new regime, and I hear the pride in your voice and in your story, and I think it's so important that you came on my show to share it. I'm just so thankful.
No,
so thank you for
asked
coming
me,
on.
and I was happily doing it because especially the public knows what's going on, and we deserve a better regime, and people out there. Just because we are here, we shouldn't just not care about the people who are there. It's like a big present in Iran now. And Persians are good people, have good heart, and so hopefully we deserve a lot better. And as you know, the United Nations, the first thing you enter is about Cyrus the freedom. I mean, if we had Cyrus the Great 2,500 years ago, and we were a good example for, free all the religion and everything, why should we like this now? So I hope the United States go help Israel to finish the job, and then let people decide what to do with this regime.
I hope so too. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Omid Barim.
Omid Barim. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I know this episode was a little bit different, but it's definitely something that is very important to us as we watch what's unfolding in the Middle East, and important for us to share the perspective with all of you so that you can get a glimpse into what the mindset is for the Iranian people. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Baba June, thank you again for being on my show.
Sure. Thank you, Baba. I love you.
Love you. We'll catch you next time, everybody. Entrepreneurship can be really hard. And when you're doing it by yourself, trying to navigate the terrain, it can almost be impossible. That's why we created the Entrepreneur Circle. Every episode, you're going to hear from incredible entrepreneurs who are in the same trenches that you are in. And we're going to talk through what's working, what's not working, whether it be in marketing, finance, or anything in between. We're here to talk business and figure out how each of us can rise together. So welcome to the circle. Let's dig in.